Commander Zarkonian stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue-green planet rotate slowly on the main screen. After 3 cycles of searching the galaxy's outer rim, they had finally found something interesting. Life signatures. Primitive radio waves. A species that had just begun to reach for the stars. "Sir, the Council will be pleased," said his second-in-command Zex. "Another species to add to the Confederation. They appear to be—" "What is the classification?" "Level 2? "Barely," Zarkonian replied. His forearms moved across the control panel. "They have basic space flight. Some satellites. Nothing impressive. The Zircon Empire had done this hundreds of times before. Find a new species, evaluate them, and if they were peaceful enough, offer them a place in the Great Confederation. If they were too violent, well, containment was always an option. Prepare the delegation pod," Zarkonian ordered. "Standard first contact protocol. We will meet their leaders and—" "Sir," Zex interrupted. "I'm detecting something unusual. They're military installations. There are thousands of them, far more than any level 2 civilization should have." Zarkonian frowned. His species didn't exactly frown, but the purple coloring of his facial plates showed confusion. "Show me." The screen filled with data. Military bases. Weapons stockpiles. Nuclear arsenals that could destroy their own planet several times over. It made no sense. Most species abandoned such primitive violence long before reaching space. Perhaps they are in a state of civil war? Zex suggested, "Scan their communications. Let us understand them better." What they found shocked them even more. The humans, as they called themselves, were not in a civil war. They had divided themselves into hundreds of different groups called nations. They competed, fought, and somehow also cooperated. It was chaos, but organized chaos. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Chun sat at her desk in the International Space Monitoring Station in Seoul. Her colleague, Park Young-hoon, was bringing her coffee when every screen in the facility lit up at once. "What the hell?" Young-hoon dropped the coffee. Sarah's fingers flew across her keyboard. "It's not a malfunction. We're getting a signal. A big one. From—" "That can't be right." "What?" Young-hoon leaned over her shoulder. "It's coming from orbit. Something just appeared in orbit. Something huge." The phone started ringing immediately. Within minutes, every major government on Earth knew. First contact. It was actually happening. Min-jun, the facility director, burst through the door. "Is this confirmed?" "Yes, sir," Sarah replied. "They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies. The messages, it's in multiple Earth languages. They've been studying us." "What does it say?" Sarah pulled up the translation. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Zircon Empire, representing the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace. We request communication with your planetary leadership." "Our planetary leadership?" Young-hoon laughed nervously. "Which one?" "We have about 200 countries down here." Min-jun grabbed the emergency phone. "Get me the UN Secretary General. Now." Above Earth, Zarkonian watched the chaos unfold through their monitoring systems. These humans had no unified government. No single leader. How did they even function? "Sir," Zex said quietly, "I've been analyzing their history. You need to see this." The screen showed war after war. Humans fighting with sticks, with swords, with guns, with bombs. They fought over land, resources, ideology, religion. They had never known true peace. And yet, double quotes, look at this. Zex highlighted another section. After each conflict, they rebuild. They adapt. They grow stronger. They take their enemy's technology and improve it. They should have destroyed themselves centuries ago, but instead, they thrived on conflict, Zarkonian finished. His purple facial plates had turned pale blue, a sign of deep concern. They evolved through violence, made it part of their advancement. Sir, should we abort first contact? Zarkonian considered this. The Confederation had strict rules about violent species. But these humans were different. They weren't just violent. They had turned violence into a tool for progress. They had weapons that could destroy worlds, but they used them to keep peace through mutual fear. No, he decided. We proceed. But carefully. Very carefully. These humans, they might be the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. The human shuttle looked like a toy next to the massive Zircon flagship. Colonel Kim Seo-yeon checked her oxygen levels one more time, even though she knew the aliens had adjusted their ship's atmosphere for human visitors. Old habits from 15 years in the Korean Air Force died hard. Stop fidgeting, Sarah-chan whispered beside her. You're making me nervous. I'm not fidgeting. I'm being thorough, Seo-yeon replied. There's a difference. Their delegation was small, but carefully chosen. Sarah for her scientific knowledge, Seo-yeon for military assessment, Dr. James Harrison as a biologist, Ambassador Yuki Tanaka for diplomacy, and surprisingly, a philosopher named Dr. Amara Okonkwo. The UN had argued for days about who to send. In the end, they chose diversity over authority. Docking complete, the pilot announced. Airlock sealed. You're clear to board. The door hissed open, revealing a corridor that seemed to glow with soft blue light. Standing there were 3 Zircon, their forearms clasped in what looked like a formal gesture. The middle one, taller than the others, had purple-tinted skin that shimmed like oil on water. "Welcome, humans," Zarkonian said through a translation device. I am Commander Zarkonian. This is unprecedented. Never before have we met a species that sent such a varied delegation. We thought it best to show you who we really are, Ambassador Tanaka said, bowing slightly. Humanity is nothing if not diverse. Zex studied the humans with barely concealed fascination. Your biological readings are remarkable. Your planet's gravity is 1.8 times the galactic average. Your atmosphere has unusually high oxygen levels. And these temperature variations you survive. You've been studying our planet? Seo-yeon asked, her voice carefully neutral. Standard protocol, Zarkonian assured her. We study all potential new members. Though I must say, your world is unusual. Dr. Harrison laughed. That's one way to put it. Earth's trying to kill us half the time. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, tsunamis. We just got used to it, as Zircon exchanged glances. Their facial plates shifted to blue-green, which Sarah's briefing had identified as confusion or concern. You speak of these disasters casually, Zex noted. Most species would evacuate such a hostile world. Where would we go? Dr. Okonkwo asked philosophically. It's our home. We adapted. They were led to a meeting room with a transparent wall showing Earth below. The planet looked peaceful from up here, Sarah thought. You couldn't see the chaos, the conflicts, the constant struggle for survival that had shaped their species. Before we begin formal discussions, Zarkonian said, we must ask about your biological needs. Our research suggests you require frequent nutrition and hydration. Every few hours, ideally, Dr. Harrison confirmed. We brought supplies if no need, Zarkonian gestured, and an assistant brought in what looked like standard military rations. We synthesized these based on your nutritional requirements. Though we must admit, your caloric needs are excessive. Seo-yeon picked up one of the packages, sniffed it, then took a careful bite. Not bad. Better than most MREs I've had? MREs? Zex asked. Meals ready to eat. Military field rations, Seo-yeon explained. designed to keep soldiers fighting in any condition. Desert heat, Arctic cold, jungle humidity. Humans can operate in all of it. The Zircon's plates shifted again, this time to a deeper blue. You mention extreme temperatures, Zex said slowly. Our data shows humans functioning in temperature ranges that would kill most Confederation species. How? Sarah jumped in, her scientific excitement overcoming diplomatic caution. Oh, that's actually fascinating. Humans have this amazing thermoregulation system. We sweat to cool down, shiver to warm up. Our bodies literally adjust blood flow to protect vital organs. We can survive in deserts where the temperature hits 50 degrees Celsius and in Arctic conditions below -40. Impossible, one of the other Zircon muttered. Not for us, Co Yan said with a slight smile. I've personally led training exercises in both extremes. You adapt or you die. Humans have always been good at adapting. Zirconian leaned forward. You speak of death very casually, Colonel. Do I? Co Yan shrugged. I suppose we do. When you grow up on a world where the weather can kill you, the animals can kill you, the plants can kill you, tiny invisible organisms can kill you. Death becomes just another problem to solve. We prefer to prevent it, of course, Ambassador Tanaka added quickly, seeing the aliens' growing alarm. But we don't fear it the way some might. Dr. Okonkwo nodded thoughtfully. There's an old human saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's basically our species' motto. The Zircon sat in silence for a moment, processing this information. Finally, Zirconian spoke. I think we need to reconsider our initial assessment of your species. You are far more complex than we anticipated. Is that good or bad? Sarah asked. Zirconian's plates shifted to a color they hadn't seen before, a swirling mix of purple and gold. That remains to be seen. But I suspect the Confederation has never encountered anything quite like humanity before. Asterisk. A Confederation testing chamber was a massive spherical room that could simulate any environment. Sarah stood with her fellow humans, watching as Zex operated the control panel with all 4 arms moving in perfect coordination. These are standard evaluation tests, Zex explained. Every species must pass them to join the Confederation. They measure intelligence, adaptability, cooperation, and survival instinct. Sounds fun, Co Yan muttered, already stretching her muscles. The first test is simple endurance, Zirconian announced from the observation deck. We will gradually increase gravity, temperature, and atmospheric pressure. Most species tap out at 1.3 times their normal parameters. The test began. Sarah felt the weight increase slowly, pressing down our shoulders. The temperature rose. The air grew thick. Around them, holographic displays showed the current levels. Gravity at 1.5 times Earth normal, Zex announced, surprise creeping into his voice. Temperature at 45 degrees Celsius. You should signal if you need to stop. I've done CrossFit in worse conditions. Seo Yan joked, though sweat was beading on her forehead. Dr. Harrison was monitoring his pulse. Heart rate elevated but manageable. This is like hiking in Death Valley with a full pack. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans continued. 1.8 times gravity. 50 degrees Celsius. The humans were struggling now, but still standing. How? Zex demanded. You should have collapsed. We're stubborn, Sarah gasped out, her scientific mind noting that the human ability to push through pain was probably unique in the galaxy. Finally, at 2.1 times Earth gravity and 55 degrees Celsius, Ambassador Tanaka raised her hand. I think we've made our point. The chamber returned to normal. The humans were drenched in sweat, breathing hard, but all still standing. The Zircon control room was silent. Next test, Zirconian said quietly. Problem solving under stress. The room transformed into a maze filled with obstacles. Laser grids, moving platforms, sections filling with water. A timer appeared. 10 minutes. Work together. Reach the exit. You will face dangers from multiple worlds, Zex explained. The humans didn't hesitate. Seo Yang took point, her military training obvious. Harrison, analyze patterns. Chun, look for shortcuts. Tanaka Okonkwo, watch R6. They move like they trained together for years. When a section flooded, Harrison calculated water rise rates while Sarah found the drain controls. When Predator holograms attacked, Seo Yon didn't flinch, directing the others with hand signals. When they reached a wall of alien script, Tanaka and Okonkwo worked together, finding patterns through linguistic analysis and philosophical reasoning. They completed the maze in 7 minutes and 32 seconds. The record was 14 minutes, Zex said faintly. Set by the Altarians, who are famous for their coordination, the tests continued. Combat simulations where humans showed they could fight with anything or nothing. Seo Yang fashioned weapons from debris. Sarah turned everyday items into tactical advantages. Even the peaceful Dr. Okonkwo showed surprising creativity in defensive strategies. During a break, a young Zircon scientist approached Sarah. Its plates were shifting between curious gold and nervous green. I am apprentice scientist Vel, it said shyly. I study xenobiology. Your species is ... impossible. Sarah laughed, wiping sweat from her face. We get that a lot lately, but you shouldn't exist. Vel exclaimed. Your planet's conditions, your biological needs, the energy you expend. And yet, you not only survive but thrive. How do you make decisions? Our models show humans often act against logical self-preservation. Logic isn't everything, Sarah said. Sometimes you have to trust your gut. Your digestive system? No. I mean ... intuition, feelings. Humans don't always do what makes sense. We do what feels right. Bell's plates turn bright gold. Fascinating. You make decisions based on electrical impulses and chemical reactions in your neural tissue without conscious processing? When you put it that way, it sounds crazy, Sarah admitted. But it works for us. We call it instinct, intuition, sometimes just dumb luck. But it's kept us alive on a planet that really shouldn't support intelligent life. The final test was the most revealing. Psychological evaluation. Each human was isolated and faced with scenarios designed to break them. But humans, the Zircon learned, had already been broken and rebuilt so many times by their own world that artificial scenarios seemed almost quaint. When Dr. Okonkwo was shown a simulation of Earth being destroyed, she said quietly, "We've imagined this 1,000 times. We have movies about it, books, games. We face our fears for entertainment." Seo Yan was put through combat scenarios where she couldn't win. She kept fighting anyway. Sometimes, she told the baffled evaluators, fighting when you can't win is the whole point. It's not about victory. It's about not giving up. Zarkonian watched all of this from the observation deck, his plates cycling through colors the humans had never seen before. These humans didn't just pass the tests. They shattered them. Sir, Zex said quietly. Their adrenaline response, it's unlike anything in our database. Under extreme stress, they become faster, stronger, more focused. They literally become more dangerous when threatened. I know, Zarkonian replied. The question is, what do we do with such a species? Zarkonian stood alone in his private chamber, studying the data streams from Earth's internet. The humans had given them access as a gesture of goodwill, but what he found made his plates shift to deep purple with concern. He summoned Zex immediately. Look at this. Zarkonian pointed to the screen. They're fiction. They're science fiction specifically. Zex scanned the data. They've imagined first contact scenarios thousands of times. Invasion stories, peaceful meetings, hostile takeovers. Sir, some of these stories match our actual protocols almost exactly. They've been preparing, Zarkonian said quietly. Not hoping, preparing. Meanwhile, on Earth, the UN Security Council was in emergency session. General Park, Min Jun of the Unified Earth Defense Initiative, stood before the assembled leaders. Operation Watchtower has been monitoring extraterrestrial activity for 43 years, he announced. We've known they were out there since we recovered the Siberian object in 1982. The French representative leaned forward. You're saying we've had alien technology for 4 decades? Fragments, Min Jun corrected. Crashed probes, mostly. Nothing weapons grade, but enough to understand we weren't alone. Enough to know that when they came, we needed to be ready. Back on the Zircon ship, Sarah was showing Vel human historical documents when Zarkonian entered with C.O. Yeon. Colonel, Zarkonian said directly, I need to know something. Your military readiness. It's not for each other, is it? C.O. Yeon met his 4 eyes steadily. Not anymore. Not primarily. You knew we were coming. It wasn't a question. Sarah and C.O. Yeon exchanged glances. We suspected, Sarah admitted. We've been finding things for decades. Pieces of technology that didn't match anything terrestrial. Radio signals that were too structured to be natural. Why didn't you say anything? Vel asked, plates flashing orange with surprise. Would you have trusted us if we had? C.O. Yun countered. A species that arms itself against visitors before they arrive? Zarkonian's plates shifted to a thoughtful blue-green. Show me. They were taken to a secure transmission room. After several authentication procedures, General Min Jun's face appeared on screen. Commander Zarkonian, Min Jun said formally. I am General Park Min Jun, Director of Earth Defense Initiative. I've been authorized to share classified information. The screen changed to show images. A crashed probe in Siberia. Metal fragments that self-repaired. Energy signatures that defied human physics. 1982, Min Jun narrated. First confirmed extraterrestrial artifact. We've had 17 more since then. Each one taught us something. Your probe designs, Commander, are quite educational when reverse-engineered. Zex's plates went pale. You reverse-engineered Confederation technology? Partially, Min Jun admitted. We couldn't replicate most of it. But we learned enough. Enough to know you use quantum entanglement for communication. Enough to know your ships use a form of fusion we're maybe 50 years from achieving. Enough to know that if you came as conquerors, we needed to be ready. So you armed your entire planet, Zarkonian said. We united, Min Jun corrected. Quietly, secretly, but we united. Every major nation has been part of the Earth Defense Initiative for 20 years. We still squabble publicly, but when it comes to external threats, double quotes, he shrugged. Humans are very good at finding common enemies. Zarkonian turned to the human delegation. You let us test you. Evaluate you. All while knowing more about us than we realized. We needed to know if you were friendly, C.O. Yan said simply. And we needed you to know we weren't easy prey. The tests, Zex said suddenly. You didn't just pass them. You calibrated your responses. You showed us exactly what you wanted us to see. Sarah nodded. We showed you the truth. Just ... in a controlled way. Humans are dangerous, but we're not mindlessly violent. We adapt, we survive. And yes, we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Zarkonian was quiet for a long moment. You realize this changes everything. The Confederation has protocols for species that have been influenced by outside technology. But we weren't influenced, Dr. Okonkwo, who had been silent until now, spoke up. We found scraps and made guesses. We took alien garbage and tried to understand the minds that made it. That's not influence. That's archaeology. And what did you learn? Zarkonian asked. Minjun leaned forward on the screen. We learned that the galaxy is vast and full of wonders. We learned that we're not alone. And we learned that whether you came in peace or war, humanity needed to be ready to meet you as equals, or as enemies. Zarkonian noted. We prefer friends, Ambassador Tanaka said diplomatically. But we prepare for both. Vel's plates were cycling through colors rapidly. This is unprecedented. No species has ever done this before. Then maybe, Sarah suggested, it's time for something unprecedented to happen. The Galactic Confederation Council Chamber was ancient, its crystalline walls holding the light of 1,000 stars. Representatives from 200 species filled the vast amphitheater, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds to silicon-based arthropods. At the center, Zarkonian stood with the human delegation, preparing to make the most important argument of his career. Esteemed counselors, he began, his voice carrying through universal translators. I present to you the humans of Earth, a species that defies every prediction, every model, every expectation we have established. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Altarian representative, a being of pure energy, pulsed skeptically. We have read your report, Commander. These humans sound dangerous, unpredictable. They achieved spaceflight while still engaging in planetary conflicts. They reverse-engineered our technology without permission, added the vegan delegate, its crystalline form chiming with disapproval. This shows deception, aggression. Seo Yan stepped forward. With respect, it shows survival instinct. If an unknown object crashed on your world, wouldn't you study it? We would report it to the Confederation, the vegan replied. But we didn't know you existed, Sarah interjected. We thought we were alone. We had to assume the worst and hope for the best. High Counselor Thren, an ancient being whose species had founded the Confederation millennia ago, leaned forward. Show us why humanity deserves membership, despite these ... irregularities. Zarkonian gestured to Dr. Harrison, who activated a holographic display. Honored Council, I present the Kalos problem. The chamber went silent. Every species knew about the Kalos problem, an ancient plague that jumped between silicon and carbon-based life forms, dormant for centuries, but impossible to eliminate. It had destroyed 12 colonies in the past 1,000 years. For 5,000 years, Harrison continued, the Confederation has tried to solve this. Your best scientists have failed. But humans? We see it differently. He pulled up genetic sequences. On Earth, we have something called bacteriophages, viruses that eat bacteria. We also have CRISPR gene editing. Combine the two concepts, add quantum entanglement for cross-substrate compatibility, and ... the solution materialized in the air. An engineered organism that could hunt and destroy the Kalos plague while leaving healthy tissue untouched. The Altarian's energy form brightened dramatically. This could work. How did you conceive this? Dr. Okonkwo smiled. Humans excel at finding connections others miss. We call it lateral thinking. Our chaotic history, our diverse cultures, our constant conflicts, they taught us to approach problems from angles others wouldn't consider. Because we've always been fighting death, Seo Yan added. Disease, war, disaster. We've become very creative at staying alive. High Counselor Thren's many eyes focused on the humans. You offer this solution freely? If we join the Confederation, yes, Ambassador Tanaka said. Humanity wants partners, not enemies. We want to explore the stars, learn from other species, share what we know. A new voice spoke from the Shadows Counselor Zyrax of the warrior caste, whose species had conquered 100 worlds before joining the Confederation. And if we refuse you? If we decide you're too dangerous? The humans exchanged glances. General Minjun's face appeared on a communication screen from Earth. Then we'll continue as we have, Minjun said calmly. We'll develop our own FTL technology. We're close already, thanks to the fragments we've studied. We'll expand on our own. And when we meet in space, ... double quotes. He paused. We'd rather meet as friends. The implicit message was clear. Humanity would reach the stars with or without the Confederation's blessing. Val, who had been given special permission to attend, suddenly spoke up. Honored Council, I've studied these humans extensively. Yes, they're dangerous. But they're dangerous the way a star is dangerous powerful, potentially destructive, but also capable of bringing light and life. They survived on a world that should have killed them. They turned warfare into progress, conflict into cooperation. Imagine what they could do as our allies. Zarkonian headed his final argument. The Confederation has grown comfortable. Stagnant, some might say. We've had peace for so long, we've forgotten how to adapt quickly. The humans, they could reinvigorate us, challenge us, make us stronger. High Counselor Thren called for silence. We will vote. The wait felt eternal. Each species registered their decision through quantum voting, impossible to hack or influence. Finally, the results appeared: 147 in favor, 53 against. Humanity? Thren announced. Welcome to the Galactic Confederation. Sarah felt tears on her cheeks. C.O. Yeon stood straighter. Ambassador Tanaka bowed deeply. On the screen, crowds across Earth erupted in celebration. There are conditions, Thren continued. Your military technology will be monitored, your expansion regulated, but in return, you'll have access to our knowledge, our trade networks, our protection, and we'll have access to theirs. Counselor Zyrax rumbled, something like respect in its voice. These humans, they'll change everything. 3 months later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of humanity's first embassy station, built with a fusion of human and alien technology. Vel stood beside her, its plates shimmering with contentment. Do you regret it? Vel asked. Revealing yourselves? You could have stayed hidden, developed in secret. Sarah watched Earth turning below, now surrounded by ships from a dozen different species, bringing trade, knowledge, and friendship. No, she said firmly. Humans are many things, stubborn, violent, chaotic. But we're also curious, adaptable, and endlessly hopeful. We've always wondered if we were alone. Now we know we're not. She smiled. And we're going to make the most of it. In the distance, the first human-built starship powered up its FTL drive, ready to explore the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as the newest members of a vast cosmic community. The stars would never be the same. The revelation had indeed shaken the stars. But perhaps they needed shaking. The end asterisk.